Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm gonna show you guys how to wrap your hands like the legend Manny Pacquiao. So stay tuned. So before I show you guys how to wrap your hands, I'm gonna show you what's included in this hand wrap. First is going to be the knuckle pad I made for each hand, which I simply used fight gauze, or you can use really any medical grade gauze. You can buy this online at Title Boxing. Most boxing equipment suppliers will sell this. If in the worst case scenario, you can go to the local drugstore like Walgreens, CVS Pharmacy, and they typically have gauze there. So worst case scenario, right? And it's about 1/2 inch. It's really nice and soft and pliable. So those are gonna be for the knuckle pads. Next is going to be the actual hand wrap itself. I'm gonna be using Leroy hand wraps, which are 5.5 yards each. The reason I'm using this today is because I already had this. I didn't want to spend extra money to buy some more gauze when I already had these Leroy wraps sitting around the house. So you actually need 10 yards total. And you get that if you purchase the Title Boxing classic fight gauze. If you look at any kind of classic fight gauze you get from a boxing website, it's typically 10 yards. So you only need 1 roll per hand. But in the case of using the Leroy wrap, since they're only 5.5 yards, half the length, I'm using 2 per hand. So each one of these rolls you see here right now actually has 2 of these Leroy wraps inside of them. I already used 1. So there's 4 of these total in each of these, or should I say 2 in there and 2 in there. So, and then last is going to be medical grade or fight grade, boxing grade tape. Again, you can find this on Title Boxing, Ringside, any of the boxing equipment suppliers typically will have this tape. It's really nice and soft, flexible, durable, and you can tear it just using your hands. You don't have to have like scissors or anything to cut this tape. So I'll be using this tape to work my hand wrap in. So there you have it. Let's go ahead and show you guys how to do the hand wrap. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here, and today I'm gonna show you guys how to wrap your hands like the legend himself, Manny Pacquiao. Now, generally speaking, if you're a competitive boxer, whether you're at the amateur or the pro level, a lot of boxers, when they're at that level, typically like to have their hands wrapped by their coach or by their cut man. So I'm sure you've seen it before, whether it's in person or on video, where you see the coach and the boxer sitting across from each other face to face on a chair. The boxer has their hands stretched out, and then from there, their coach or whoever it is starts to wrap their hand and get them ready for their training or for their fight that's coming up. With that being said, Manny has been a boxer that I've followed for a very long time, since the beginning of his career, at least here in the United States. And historically, he's always wrapped his own hands. I mean, there's been a few times where I've seen Freddie Roach or one of his assistant coaches wrap his hands for them. But Manny likes to wrap his own hands, mainly because for his own comfort level, and he's so used to it. It's almost like repetition. You do something so many times, you get so used to it, and there's a certain comfort level. As you guys know, if you've ever wrapped your hands before, only you know by feel how the wrap feels on your hand. If it's too loose, if it's too tight, if it's causing any discomfort, if it's choking your wrist out, if it's choking any of your fingers, if it's bringing your hands too close together, or if you make a fist, when your knuckles protrude out, it's too tight. If your thumb doesn't feel enough support, if your thumb is brought in too much. So there's a lot of different factors when it comes to feel. I mean, that's what it really comes down to with a boxing hand wrap, outside of the protection that you're giving your hands, because these are your number one investment when it comes to boxing. But it really comes down to personal comfort, and then obviously the support of the hand wrap. So I'm going to show you guys how Manny does his wrap. I've seen him do it several times. I'm going to share it with you guys. Like I showed you guys earlier, I'm simply using, I already did one hand just to show you guys what the finished product looks like. I'm simply using boxing tape or medical grade tape. I'm using my Leroy wraps. I recommend using any boxing brand like Title or Ringside. They're 10-yard fight gauze or fight wrap you can use, so it's longer. But here I actually have 2 Leroy rolls combined together for about 10 yards or 11 yards total. And then I also have some gauze that I made a knuckle pad out of. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, to start the wrap, the first thing you want to do is use your tape to make the base layer on your hand. Now, Manny typically does this in order to give himself extra support over the back of the hand for all the little small bones inside of his hand right here, as well as on the wrist area to really keep everything nice and stable. So it basically adds a layer of stability rather than just using your tape and your gauze to do the wrap. And what you could do, which is perfectly fine, is to your comfort level, but he always starts off his wrap with the base layer using the tape. And like I've always been taught, when you're wrapping your hands, the wrap direction is outward, so it's away from you when you wrap your hands. You don't want to wrap inwards. And the reason you're wrapping outwards is because you want to be able to pull your thumb in as you continue to wrap and kind of keep everything kind of locked in together. So starting with the tape, you want to grab obviously the end of the tape. I'm going to put it right about halfway down the inside of my palm. And then from there, I'm going to spread my fingers. It's really important when you wrap your hands to spread your fingers and also kind of open and close your hands throughout the process. Because of that, the reason you do that is you really want to make sure that the actual wrap feels comfortable. If you ever see anybody that wraps their hands with their fingers close together, that's wrong, because the minute they open and spread their hands open, it's going to be super tight and uncomfortable. So you want to always make sure that your hand is completely spread up when you do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to do 2 wraps over the knuckles. You don't have to make the wrap extremely tight. Just go over 2 times over the knuckles at 2. And then from here, you're going to proceed to go diagonally across the back of the hand like that. And then you're going to go twice around the wrist. When I say twice, you want to do 2 full turns. That doesn't include the turn that you did when you came down from the top of the hand. So you want to do 2. So 1 and 2 over the wrist. Now, if you feel like you need a little extra support, by all means, you can do more. But this is basically just kind of the minimal amount. I'm going to go around 3 times. And then from here, you want to go back up, around to the top of the hand again. You want to go around one more time to kind of seal everything off. And then from there, you can go ahead and cut the tape off and end it. Typically, when I cut it off, I'll end it right in the middle of the palm. That way it's not on the edge. If I can just cut that off and then put that right there. And that's pretty much it with the tape. You really don't need it for anything else at this point, so you can go ahead and put the tape away. So now, when you have your hand all taped up, opening and closing it, it should feel nice and comfortable. It shouldn't be too tight or too loose. And you have all the support right here over the back of your hand. Your thumb is free. We're gonna take care of the thumb here in a minute once we put the actual wrap on. And your wrist has a little bit more support, so it just has more stability when you start punching. So you have that, that's all nicely taped off. So next, you're gonna go ahead and grab your knuckle pad that you made and your wrap. Again, I'm using the Leroy wrap. And you're gonna go ahead and put this knuckle pad, kind of preset it underneath the wrap, okay? From here, you're gonna place it right over your knuckles. You kind of grab it with your thumb to hold it in place. And then from here, you start. Now, just depending on the length of your wrap, which should be about 10 yards, which is about 398 inches, I wanna say. The general rule of thumb is about 8 to 12 turns around the hand for both up top and down below around the wrist. So I'm gonna start off with the first revolution. So that's gonna be 1, 2. Take your time when you do this. There's no need to rush, especially if this is your first time doing it. Make sure you just get a nice clean wrap. You know, rushing through it's not gonna help you out. 3, I think I'm on 3, 4, making sure that you really cover that knuckle pad so it doesn't break loose. 5, 6, 7. Now I'm starting to kind of taper it down towards the middle portion of my hand. 8. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my 9th wrap. I'm gonna come back down across the back of the hand and I'm gonna start the wrist. I'm gonna go around the wrist about 8 times 2. So 1, 2, you wanna do overlapping strokes. 3, and going down a little bit further down than that little wrist bump that you have on your wrist. Hopefully you have that bump like I do, but I go about a full wrap underneath that. So the width of the wrap, I go underneath that. 6, 7, 8. From here, and you can see that I actually taped, again, my Leroy wrap is only 5.5 yards, so I had to use 2 of them. From here, you wanna go up in between your index finger and your middle finger, and you're gonna do the first in between. So you're gonna go in between that finger. Oh, that didn't help. That broke loose. But let me go ahead and show you guys this real quick and tape this on properly. And that's why you wanna make sure you guys get that title one, because you don't have to worry about connecting two wraps together. But just to show you guys real quick. Little improvisational skills, right? Sometimes you gotta improvise. So let me see if I can do that again. Get to wrap the right direction. Tight that on there. Okay, that goes right there. That's right around. I'm gonna go around the wrist a couple more times just to lock that in place so I don't have to worry about that. All right, so let's go through the finger again. So from here, sorry about that, took a little detour. You wanna go through the index finger and the middle finger. Open and close your hands so that you get that nice tension. You're feeling it through your hand. Go on the side of your thumb because you wanna maintain the same direction. And back over your hand again. And down to your wrist. So now we're going back down around the wrist again one time. From here you want to do between your pinky finger and your ring finger. Again, feel that tension with your hand. Open and close it. Make sure it feels nice and comfortable. And again, across underneath your palm. Back over the wrist. And around again. Now it's time for the thumb. You want to do the thumb. You want to go over the thumb. Make sure it's nice and flexible. Over the thumb, back around again. Trying to keep this wrap nice and secure. And then from here, we're almost to the finish line. You want to do a couple more revolutions around your wrist. Get your wrist nicely locked in place. If you want, you could do one more revolution around your thumb. I like to keep my thumb kind of flexible. You're gonna go around it. We're leaving the middle section for the very end of the race, okay? So I'm gonna go around the top of the hand one more time also. Go there. Actually, let me reverse that. I'm running out of wrap. Let me give myself a little extra wrap to go around the top. Okay. So I'm gonna go around the top of the knuckle again. Back down, right that way. And then up and over between the ring and the middle finger right there. Again, feeling the tension. From here, you're gonna take this excess and you're gonna tuck it underneath. So all you gotta do is just simply tuck that in. That almost like becomes part of the grip bar of the hand wrap, okay? From there, just sort the wrap out. You wanna make sure that the palm is open. It's nice and comfortable. Your thumb has a good flexibility. Your hand feels good. Open and close your hands really nicely, and it feels really good. So obviously repetition of doing this wrap, you're gonna be able to perfect it, and then you'll also be able to feel how, if it's too tight or if it's too loose, or if you need that extra tape support. But that's the way Manny typically does it. Using the tape before you put the wrap on is especially crucial for those of you that may have hand injuries, have had issues with your wrist or even your knuckles, and it gives you that extra support. So there you have it. All the knuckles are covered. You use that crisscross pattern on the back of the hand, the wrist. Again, that I mentioned earlier, and I know I mentioned it before, it's really crucial to get yourself at least 10 yards of the actual wrap. So I'll put the link below where you can get the actual fight wrap that you can use, and as well as the Leroy wrap. All you have to do is just kind of tape them together, like how you saw I did, and that way you can get yourself a really nice wrap like Manny Pacquiao has. So there you have it right there. You can see the wrap feels nice and comfortable, really nice and supportive. The knuckle feels really good. That pad over the knuckle feels great. The wrist feels nice and locked in, almost like a cast-like feel, and it feels really, really good. So I really love this wrap. Do keep in mind that compared to your traditional cotton polyester wrap that comes with a little Velcro tab on it. This is going to take a little bit longer because you're using more wrap, you're using a gauze, you're using tape. So it is a little bit more time consuming. So if you are going to do it, you know, plan ahead to give yourself maybe 15, 20 minutes extra to do your hand wraps. The other thing is that the Leroy wraps and just really any kind of cotton wrap in general, typically depending on how much you're using it through your session, your training, if you're going through a really hard training session with sparring, you're taking the gloves on and off, it probably will just last that one session. So you're gonna have to have an entire box and bag of gauze, tape, and wrap that you can continually go through. So that's why you don't see it as commonly used in most gyms, that people just use the reusable 180 to 200 inch hand wraps just for the convenience, and they don't have to continue to buy gauze, tape, and wrap. But if you're looking to go with the professional style wrap and you don't mind having to kind of go through all this stuff, cut it off, and not be able to reuse it, then you'll definitely find that this wrap is more protective, more comfortable, and just much more satisfying than your traditional Mexican hand wrap that you see that most people use. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box on where you can find the gauze, the tape, the wrap, and everything you need to do this style of wrap. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.